Am I the butthole for reporting my wife's cousin to his employer? My wife's cousin is a sheriff's deputy in a southern U.S. state. He is in his mid-20s and I've known him for about a decade. My wife and I live in a northern state, so I don't see him very often, usually just on Christmas or Thanksgiving. I've never really had a problem with him, but for as long as I've known him he has struck me as entitled and naive. Becoming a cop has been his dream since before I knew him, and he's very proud of the fact that he achieved it. Since we live so far away from most of my wife's family, there is a group chat with a lot of family members that people use to keep in touch. Over the last year or so, my wife's cousin has a habit of posting videos and pictures of things related to his job that I disagree with. Some of these include body cam footage of arrests, body cam footage of people in vulnerable or traumatic situations, and plenty of videos of insensitive jokes from him and other police officers. Now, I'm no expert on police matters, but I'm pretty sure he shouldn't be sharing those things with people. Since it's not my family, I've kept my mouth shut to the group, but have told my wife privately that her cousin could probably get in trouble if he was found out for leaking these things to family members. She said that her cousin is just very proud of being a cop and this is his way of looking for recognition and pats on the back because he has always needed to be praised. A couple weekends ago, he sent body cam footage of him and another officer mocking a person they were arresting for DUI. The things they said and the way they treated that man made me sick to my stomach. It was like to them, this guy was less than human. They showed such a callous disregard for him as a person that for me, it was the last straw. I told my wife that since it was her family, I was going to give her a chance to say something to her cousin, otherwise I was going to contact his supervisor and let them know what he has been doing. She called her cousin to talk with him, but he literally laughed at her on the phone. He said these people are criminals, so why should he give a crap what they think about how they are treated? After the call, my wife came to me and said her cousin is an a-hole and that it's okay with her if I contacted his department. So I looked up his department info, created an anonymous email, and sent over the whole collection of pictures and videos that the cousin ever sent out. After a couple back and forth emails from them asking questions about how I obtained those items, they thanked me for the information and I didn't hear back from them. A couple days later, my wife's aunt, cousin's mother, blew up the group chat looking for whoever contacted the sheriff because her son was now on paid suspension and desk duty. I told them all it was me that did it. Now my wife's entire family hates me and thinks I'm a huge a-hole. But my wife and I feel we did the right thing. NTA, these kinds of people are the reason people hate cops and it makes me sick to my stomach. Whenever people interact with these kinds of people they begin to think all law enforcement are like this. I'm not sure what made me more mad, his disgusting view of humans who make mistakes, or the fact that he didn't even lose his job, he just got moved to desk duty and gets a paid suspension. I don't work in law enforcement, but I could get fired for posting uncleared footage and evidence of disrespectful behavior while on the job. NTA. He was moved to a desk most likely as a formality while the investigation takes place. This is normally done when any serious complaint is filed. It's so that if the individual is found to be innocent then they have not fired for false allegations, and if they are fired for cause they can't file a lawsuit for lack of investigation. Except cops rarely get properly punished or even fired for wrongdoing because of qualified immunity and whatever other BS things they have to protect them, sadly. Qualified immunity is for civil cases. Here the deputy would have violated their employer's policy and state/federal privacy laws. I'm well aware that qualified immunity is for civil cases, however I did not mention this specific scenario. I said cops rarely get punished because of that and other BS reasons. Let's be honest, when have those things ever stopped them? Thank God he didn't become a doctor, eh? Qualified immunity doesn't apply when you are off duty, so it probably won't help him here. The actions against the people happened on duty though, and cops don't really like investigating other cops anyways. But the sharing of the videos and images happened off duty. His actions regarding the DUI isn't the only complaint. Let's be real here, they probably already knew about the deplorable behavior with the DUI. He felt threatened. It's more like protecting their own than qualified immunity most of the time, which is only in specific situations. Although I do not agree with qualified immunity in the slightest, so I'm not defending it. In this case, if any of the lawyers in those cases found out about this privacy breach, those trials' integrity is now in jeopardy. So it's a big deal that way. Yeah, cops don't investigate cops, they rarely even go to trial since most DAs don't want to mess with them either. Broken-ass system. This could land the cousin in serious trouble because he could potentially contaminate the jury pool for a criminal case, and he could have compromised evidence if the DA wanted to use the video of the arrest at trial to support an assault on an officer or resisting arrest charge. Not to mention if the department has any internal policies regarding use of body cam video that cousin violated. Qualified immunity only applies to civil procedures, so if a cop screws up they can't be sued if they thought they were doing the correct thing at the time of the mistake. I'm well aware, but I didn't mention this specific case. I did say qualified immunity and other BS reasons makes them get out of trouble when screwing up. Also, thinking they did the correct thing is such a horrible rule of thumb when they've literally demolished people's homes without compensating them, making them homeless because a fugitive occupied their home. They shouldn't get away with things like that. Sorry, I misinterpreted what you meant by other BS reasons. And was just pointing out that she, which I agree is horrid, would not apply in this situation. Qualified immunity is just plain BS, there's no two ways about it. But yeah, in this specific case it won't matter, but they'll find some way to save his bacon, they always do. Cops have a gang mentality. If you ask most cops, they'll agree that they always have the back of other cops. It's why I hate cops. Aside from one woman and a POC cop that was older, every cop I've known at one point or another has said this or made jokes about it. It's disgusting and legit the reason why cops don't get fired. They're always covering for each other and are afraid if one of their own gets outed, every bad thing they've ever done on duty will get outed. Most cops have a God complex. It's a disgusting, and sad, statistical fact. It's like how most male cops beat their wives. It's made worse by the fact they're meant to protect the public, and they so often hurt us. Edit. Since I can't reply to the post below me, I'll put it here. I grew up with cops. I've been around them my entire life. Some were family, some family friends. Until I got older, I didn't realize when they said they were a gang, they meant it. Now that I don't associate with them but still live in the same town, I have to live with the repercussions of leaving, which means that the police stalk me and my family, don't take our reports as seriously, and even when I was dealing with DV, they didn't do crap until the brand new chief got involved, no matter how many times I called. I'm not the only one to experience this. I know the wives and children of cops. I've seen how it is, so I'm not only relying on statistics, which say that 40% of spouses of cops report being abused. That number is likely much higher because reporting to your spouse's friends that they're abusive is terrifying, and sadly they don't always do something, or they blame you. It's also a statistical fact that cops that have been in the force for at least a decade tend to develop more mental health issues, including narcissism and God complexes. Yes, it's likely due to all the horrible things they have to see and deal with, but it doesn't change that fact. If it was his dream to be a cop, are we sure it was the right dream? I remember something my ex's really nice uncle said to me years and years ago. He said he got out of being a cop because the more guys that joined the force nowadays, this was mid-90s, were doing it for ego, and little else. I also was deeply moved by a talk I heard by a retired NYPD cop. He said in all the years in the city's force, he never once had to pull his gun and that the city was far worse than it is now. He chided young officers today, saying that what they wanted was a real-life Call of Duty, not real community-built police work. Sounds to me like his dream was to humiliate and bully. If you put a body check on this and brought it to his supervisor's attention, then think of the grief and the humiliation. You saved a lot of people. Sounds like mama's boy got what done did coming to him a long, long time ago. Point out to her that you're not the one that sanctioned him, his force did. His own actions got him into trouble. If you hadn't reported him, then someone else would have, because there's no way he's limiting this to family. Sad thing is, sounds like the wife is living through an inflated ego herself. Pride by proxy. Sometimes you can't get around being labeled the butthole when this is absolutely the right thing to do. You did give him the chance to repent. Now he has to. Definitely NTA. That man has no business being in a position of authority. You absolutely did the right thing. Besides, the cousin and family are going to get over it, because he's going to get everything he wants right back. We all know that cops don't ever get in any real trouble for a damn thing. If the PD try to sweep it all under the rug, do you think original posts should go forward to the media or to some kind of accountability watchdog organization? along the lines of the SPLC? Because honestly, cousin's behavior went on for a while with, presumably, other co-workers present. I get that family might not want to report, but the PD has a big problem if multiple officers observed and brushed off or worse participated in all of this. I find it hard to believe nobody else in the department knew he behaved this way. Op is NTA, he and his wife are doing their damn civic duty here. It's almost like the entire system is rotten to the core. That's because a few bad apples spoil the rest. Seriously. I doubt much will come of the investigation. I'm surprised they're doing an investigation, frankly. Maybe they're worried that Original Post can put these videos out there as easily as he could send them to the police department. I've been following American policing issues for about 15 years, and this is the first time in my memory where I felt average people had leverage over police. I'm trying to be positive about the modest political and cultural shifts in attitudes about police. But today was a pretty bad day. There's a video circulating on Twitter of a cop in Arkansas shooting a dog while visiting the wrong house. The anger in the man's voice at the officer, the desperation, and the sobs of his wife as she kneeled next to their dead dog were too much. The last I heard, he's still on duty. Why do cops shoot dogs? Are they even human behind that gun? This hurts my heart. If that happens, he can always send it to social media with his name and department. Your wife's cousin requires constant reassurance for what a great job he's doing, so he sends you videos and pics of people in vulnerable situations? I don't buy it. He sounds cruel and heartless. His attitude is a perfect example of what's wrong with policing, among many, many other things. NTA. I don't think he's necessarily cruel or heartless. I think it's mostly just youthful ignorance and him trying to fit into a culture that was probably already toxic when he arrived. It's very possible he just thought a lot of this behavior was normal because that's what he saw older vet cops doing. I'm not saying it's right. But that's a huge part of why police reform needs to happen. I'm in my mid-20s and I think it's overly simplistic to chalk up his awful behavior to youthful ignorance. This isn't accidentally getting too drunk at a party, it's quite literally people's lives at stake. Your cousin had a choice, and he chose to, in a callous abuse of power, share media with family members depicting vulnerable people in vulnerable situations. You did the right thing reporting him, and he should have reported his superiors if he saw them abusing their power because he took an oath to serve and protect. Also, this is the stuff he has chosen to share, because he is proud of it. God only knows what he hasn't shared. I think the fact he laughed at the wife shows it's not just ignorance too. Cops don't even train for an entire year, he could entirely possibly be younger than 20, which is a bad thing. Disagree. Respectfully, but strongly, disagree. My brother-in-law is a cop and he works in a really bad part of a southern US city, high crime rates, etc. He's in his early 20s and he has never shared body cam footage, much less mocked the people he arrests. He has told us horrendous stories of car accidents he's witnessed, people he's had die in his arms as he's trying to staunch the flow of blood from a gunshot they received before he got there, etc. etc. He doesn't take his job and responsibility lightly. Your wife's cousin is a terrible police officer. Their motto is literally to protect and serve. They aren't judges or jury. Compassion in a police officer is an invaluable skill and a lack thereof is a character flaw, not youthful ignorance. You did the right thing. He needs to be reprimanded and disciplined for his behavior. That's not acting with dignity and respect to your position of authority. It's taking advantage of the power he wields and looking down on those who have potentially broken the law. I guess I'm trying hard to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's my wife's cousin, and for the most part I like the guy. So even though I disagree with his actions, I'm still trying not to paint him in too bad of a light in my eyes. I don't doubt that maybe a law enforcement career isn't the best fit for him, but that's not my decision to make. Fair, but I think there's an element of compassion we can attribute to the youth only when they've realized their dumbassness. I don't know if giving him the benefit of the doubt at this juncture is particularly useful, because he's shown that he's not responding appropriately to the authority he's been given. Once he shows contrition and a dedication to better behavior is when I could see giving him the compassion and benefit of the doubt. I don't know, I think it's just awful behavior, and it's so very important for him to improve his behavior. I get what you're trying to do, but I think it's too nice considering the ramifications of his actions. I get you want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's family and seeing him as a bad, cruel, dangerous cop is a hard pill to swallow. But imagine those people and their families on the receiving end of his behavior. It can't really be called youthful ignorance when he's in a position of power over people. Laughing and mocking people in custody is pretty cruel. Yeah, youthful ignorance covers, like, showing up late all the time to your first job, or partying too late at night and bothering your neighbors, or getting taken in by a snake oil salesman and spending too much of your money on, I don't know, aromatherapy products. Being cruel is a character flaw. Being dumb doesn't make you mean. Fun fact, the officer in charge of the DARE program in my hometown ended up getting a DUI. So I assure you, cops aren't better than the average Joe. They need to remember to empathize with people. The guy who ran the DUI education program, essentially diversion, in mine was the world's worst drunk. Takes one to know one, I guess. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.